When I put this computer together earlier in the year, I'd never even heard of the term sleeper to describe a PC. This was built simply to be my daily driver, but when a visiting friend saw it, he was convinced that I might have, quite accidentally, built something worthy of a YouTube video. An iPad this is not. This is the kind of computer that interferes with military radar and causes whole offshore wind farms to lose grid synchronization when it fires up. You can see that the case is an old beige one from the 90s, not a modern one with glass panels and rainbow fans. I have chosen this case simply because I like how utterly solid and purposeful it is, and how much space it has inside. It weighs an absolute ton. The front panel doesn't give a lot away. There is a 3.5-inch floppy drive that runs through a USB adapter, a 5.25-inch drive that isn't connected up, and also there's a working ATA CD-ROM drive. Removing the front panel reveals 8 extremely high-speed mechanical hard disks spinning at 15,000 RPM, working together in a stripped RAID array. Below those are 3 air intakes for the very powerful fans that sit just behind. A nice feature of this case is how the side panels just swing open like doors for easy access, but they can be lifted off if they're in the way. Inside you may first notice the supersized 1000-watt modular power supply, and boy does it need it, because below that are 2 huge 18-core Xeon processors, giving 72-thread processing capability. Backing them up is 256 GB of DDR4 EEC memory, which is the maximum the system will take. It's impossible not to notice the truly whopping NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti graphics card bringing the heavy firepower to the video side of the system. There isn't much that this can't handle. Not so easy to notice below that is the 6-channel SAS Raid controller driving the disk array. There is also an M2 SSD on the motherboard, but that's hidden away. You'll notice that I don't give much of a stuff about cable management. Never have, never will. My only nod to aesthetics on this system is a set of red LEDs that grow menacingly behind the grills, and a glossy UAC badge on the front. The huge CRT monitor with a 22-inch Diamondtron tube isn't there just to be hipster. It's there because it's a phenomenal screen and it doesn't make my eyes hurt like LCD panels do. It can display a crystal clear image at 2048 by 1536 pixels resolution, which is 50% more pixels than a modern HD panel. It'll do that at 85 Hz. They sure don't make them like they used to. So, let's fire it up. When Windows 10 starts, we can have a look at the Task Manager to see what's going on. The system is idling at 0% CPU utilization, and the memory at just 3%. It's like it's just asking for some kind of worthy challenge, and Windows 10 really isn't it. Let's give the drives a bit of a thrashing and see how they do. First up we'll go with the M2 drive, that talks to the system via a PCI Express 4 link. Obviously, it's brutally fast, especially with sequential file transfers, but you would expect that for this kind of drive. Now let's give the mechanical drives a test. There are 8 physical drives in this system, but they all work together as one single RAID array, so they just present as one big drive to the system. As you can see, their performance is very impressive indeed. There are plenty of modern solid-state drives around which couldn't hold a candle to these. For most tests, the M2 drive in this system does come out on top, but not always. Do bear in mind though that the RAID controller that runs the mechanical drives is helping things along greatly with its high-speed cache RAM, as it allows a smooth transfer of data on and off the drives, and can often provide the system with cache data without even having to wait for a physical drive to fetch it. Regardless, the end result is a very responsive drive system that has an answer for anyone who thinks mechanical disks are a thing of the past. But enough about the drives, let's run Minecraft. By default, Minecraft allocates itself a memory stack of 2 GB, but you can override that. I've given it 200 GB of memory to play with, which still leaves 56 GB for the rest of the system. Render and simulation distances are nearly maxed out, as are all the graphics details. Even at 1600 by 1200 resolution, the game flies along. Nothing is a problem and you can see miles into the distance. Although, I would like to test it further with insane scale chicken XP farming and such. But that is for another video. Let's try something else. Doom, as you'd expect, runs pretty good.
Auxiliary neural security network offline.
This is at 1600 by 1200 resolution, and all the graphic settings are pretty much maximised. The system generally keeps the frame rate in the hundreds, but does dip into the upper double digits at times. My monitor is refreshing at 85 Hz, so anything above that is never going to reach my eyes anyway. So, if you enjoy running around a massive space base that's been taken over by hell monsters, dealing them out relentless pain and punishment, this system does deliver the goods. It's quite a blast. In a similar vein, you can try out the ray tracing capabilities of the RTX 3080 Ti by loading up a modern remake of the 90s classic Quake II. It does look really good, whilst retaining the great chunky low polygon style of the original. Even with ray tracing at 1600 by 1200 resolution, the frame rate is wedged well into 3 digits for silky smooth alien blasting magic. Speaking of modern remakes of 90s classics, the comically violent Armageddon also runs predictably well. What could be more ridiculous than a destruction derby race held in a city where spectators and pedestrians wander around the track trying to get in the way? I remember them trying to ban the original version of this game in 1997 because they were worried we'd all end up driving real cars in the same way, unable to differentiate between fiction and reality. Well, I've been driving for decades now, and I can honestly say I've never felt the urge to power slide an entire football team IRL. I think I'll leave it there for this video. I hope you like this unintentionally 90s sleeper machine, and of course, I'd be delighted to read and respond to your comments below. If you like content like this, please consider pressing the subscribe button, and I promise not to spam you with clickbaity tat. Take care and happy gaming.